Hello everyone and welcome back to the Institute of Digital Dentistry. Dr. Ahmed Al-Hasni here, and today I'll be sharing my review on the Alliedstar Sensa intraoral scanner after testing it extensively in my clinic for the past 4 months or so. In my opinion, the Sensa represents a significant change from Alliedstar's previous approach. Rather than incremental improvements, this is a complete hardware redesign that positions the company differently in the market since ever before, moving from their traditional budget-focused positioning towards more of a medium to premium tier segment. For context, I've previously reviewed the AS260 and AS200E, and while those showed steady improvement, the Sensa takes a fundamentally different approach to design and build quality. This shift coincides with Straumann's acquisition of Alliedstar in 2023, which has no doubt provided additional resources and of course market reach. So a little bit of background. Alliedstar is a Chinese company that says they are focused on providing accessible intraoral scanner technology to everyone. Their early products, like the AS100, which I also tested and reviewed, had notable limitations in build quality and software. However, the company has shown consistent improvement with each generation. The AS200E performed well enough to win IDD's 2023 People's Choice Award, indicating growing acceptance in this market. The Sensa, which I have here with me, launched at IDS 2025, and this represents the company's attempt to compete directly with established mid-tier offerings from companies like Medit and 3Shape. It's worth noting how this fits within the broader Straumann portfolio. While the Sirius scanner seems to be targeting practices already using Straumann products, the Sensa appears designed to compete in the general market. They are also at different price points, but both product lines will remain and be developed individually. Overall, Alliedstar to me seems like one of the fastest growing scanner brands currently on this market. So let's talk about the scanner. With the Sensa's design, the company has moved away from the industrial aesthetic of their earlier scanners, such as the AS100, to a more refined appearance that aligns with modern scanner design trends. It looks modern, it's futuristic, which is nice, and in terms of specifications, the Sensa weighs 230 grams, which is lighter than the previous AS200E at 245 grams. For comparison, the Meta i700 wireless weighs 328 grams and the Trios 5 weighs 299 grams. The Shining 3D Elite wireless is at 194 grams, which remains one of the lightest weight wireless scanners that I am aware of. The Sensa is notably longer than a lot of scanners from tip to base, but the weight distribution does feel balanced. It doesn't really feel back heavy, and it's not that cumbersome to hold in the hand. In fact, it's actually quite ergonomic. The build quality, I think, is the biggest improvement, and this is a huge upgrade compared to previous generation Alliedstar scanners. As I mentioned, the AS100 felt more like a prototype, and the AS260 still had budget-oriented construction. At least I felt that way. The Sensa, on the other hand, presents a more consistent fit and finish. The construction quality appears comparable to mid-tier scanners from established manufacturers, though it doesn't quite match the premium feel of top-tier devices like the PrimeScan, Trios 6, or iTero Lumina. They seem to have a little bit more design flair and design language. One thing about the Alliedstar scanners is the dual button design, a scanner button on both sides, and this is seen in previous models. And this is a super unique thing just to Alliedstar. They're the only ones that do it, and it allows for operation of the scanner button with either your index finger or your thumb, and so you can really hold it in any way. Again, this is a totally unique Alliedstar feature, and frankly it does make a big difference, because I know it doesn't sound like much, but it's actually very useful, and it's actually quite an ergonomic scanner to use. The other things regarding the battery. The Sensa introduces another big change for the company, and that's power management. And now the Sensa has a fully integrated battery in the scanner. So this eliminates the removable battery seen in the previous generation scanners and common in many Chinese wireless scanners. And these removable batteries, the universal battery, I think feel a bit cheap. And this design choice of having an integrated battery offers a few advantages. Simplified workflow, you have a scanning base now that charges the scanner, and overall cleaner aesthetics without battery compartments. And of course, you just eliminate battery management. You don't really need to think about it anymore. However, it does raise some practical concerns about the long-term serviceability if and when the battery eventually degrades. Alliedstar addresses this by saying that it includes a 3-year warranty with every scanner that includes battery coverage. And they state the battery retains 85% capacity after 1,500 charging cycles. So there's that. The company has also implemented fast charging technology to address any workflow concerns or batteries dying on you. According to their specifications, 3 minutes of charging on this dock provides 7 minutes of scan time, just 3 minutes, while a full charge enables over 3 hours of continuous scanning. And during my testing, these claims appeared to be accurate in practice. The charging system has been redesigned as well. The new base is much more compact compared to previous generation scanners, but it does connect directly to wall power rather than laptop USB, which enables the fast charging. There are also LED indicators both on the base and on the scanner, providing charging status feedback. Now, apart from the specifications, what is the important part? How does it actually work in the clinic? Is the Alliedstar scanner any good? And in my experience during clinical testing across various indications, single crowns, bridges, implant restorations, orthodontic cases, edentulous scanning, all on necks, all of that. To be honest, the sensor impressed me, and there wasn't really any indication that I threw at it that it couldn't scan. In particular, something I'm seeing that differentiates scanners now is edentulous scanning, especially mandibular edentulous scanning and in bloody fields, which this scanner does well too. The scanner's AI processing handles 3 key areas well. Artifact removal during scanning, think about ignoring the cheeks, the tongue and any instruments. Post-processing cleanup of unwanted elements, and image stitching between scan segments. Because when I tested the scanner, stitching errors were very rare. So the algorithm, the software, the AI, whatever you want to call it, does do a good job. However, there are some limitations with this scanner that I want to bring up. And one thing is the final scan resolution, which I've bugged the company for a long time about. And I just feel like it doesn't quite match the detail level achieved by high-end competitors like Trios, iTero. Even Medit has some very high resolution scans that look very sharp. And you can see this more clearly when you actually zoom up to the scans. But in all honesty, it doesn't seem to impact accuracy when I compared the SDLs to pretty much every other scanner I have here at IDD. So the sensor scans well. What about the software? The software has improved a lot since the AS100. The system maintains a 2-application approach similar to Medit, and that's patient management through AS Connect and scanning through ScanPro. Now, AS Connect looks really modern, it's much cleaner. ScanPro looks a little dated. So AS Connect uses a design approach that honestly seems similar to Medit's interface, with patient management tools that function adequately for most workflow needs. Case creation is straightforward, and the lab prescription system covers all indications. The application suite has also been improved in the sensor, and it's expanded from earlier versions. It now includes an AI oral health report, model builder, orthodontic simulator, mesh compare, smile design, and partner integrations. Free cloud storage is also included for scan archiving. However, in saying that, certain workflow gaps remain. The software lacks dedicated denture workflows with multiple scanning windows for upper and lower edentulous areas, bite registration, and denture wax room scanning with automatic alignment, and this is something that is becoming much more common in the premium segment of the market. Also with full arch implant workflows. These are becoming more and more common in competing systems such as Shining 3D IPG. At the moment, this is also absent. Of course, the scanner is totally open like all other scanners these days and provides export options including STL, PLY, and OBJ formats. So what other things have changed with the sensor? The scanning tips have also had a design upgrade, so they've moved away from the industrial looking tips from previous generations to a more refined, rounded design that actually looks like it belongs on a premium scanner. Alliedstar has also eliminated the small or pediatric tip option, focusing on a single universal design measuring 22 by 17 millimeters. And this scanning tip has a 16 by 14 millimeter scan field of view. And honestly, I'm happy with this change. I very rarely use the smaller scanner tips, and that goes for any scanner. The tips can be autoclaved up to 180 times at 134 degrees Celsius for 4 minutes. However, the cost has increased significantly to 120 USD for a pack of 2, so 60 USD per tip compared to 45 USD of the previous generation. This translates to around 33 cents per patient scan, which honestly remains comparable to most competitors on the market. One nice feature is that the tips heat up very fast when scanning, within 5 seconds or so with virtually no preheating time. As soon as you turn it on, the scanner seems ready to go with no fogging. And lastly, the sensor price. So this scanner is priced at $13,995 USD. This positions it firmly in the mid to premium tier. With no ongoing subscription fees and a 3-year warranty including drop coverage, it does create an interesting competitive dynamic now in the market. For example, the scanner is less expensive than premium competitors like the Medit i900, Trios 5, Trios 6, PrimeScan, iTero Lumina, but it's more expensive than many economic options, while in my opinion delivering better build quality and clinical performance for hard cases like edentulous scanning. To me, it's comparable to mid-tier offerings from established brands, with the advantage again of excellent scanning capabilities because it does better than most scanners in my opinion. With the release of the Alliedstar Sensa, the company has also repositioned their entire product line. Sensa is now at $13,995, AS200E is at $11,995, AS260 is at $8,995, and that is their entry-level option. The AS100 also has been discontinued since. So that is basically it for this review of the Alliedstar Sensa. Based on my extensive testing, the Sensa receives an overall IDD rating of 85%. This reflects significant improvement in hardware design and build quality, but I would still like to see the software improve further in the future. To me, the Sensa demonstrates Alliedstar's evolution from budget-focused manufacturer toward mid-tier market competition. With continued development and Straumann's resources, the company appears positioned to compete more directly with established scanner manufacturers. This is definitely a company to watch, and to be honest, I think they will soon be in the top 5 in the industry because the scanner works very well. If you want to read the full review of the Alliedstar Sensa, go to our website at instituteofdigitaldentistry.com and you can see the complete breakdown. So this concludes my review of the scanner. Let me know your thoughts about the Sensa and if you have any questions at all. As always, to keep up to date with all things digital dentistry, go to instituteofdigitaldentistry.com. Thanks for watching.